And here's another example of a inverse head and shoulders pattern that I did a little more complicated, and there's just different variants to it, as you'll see in it. But this is actually on August 8th. We're roughly 9:50 in the morning or so on August 8th, so if you want to follow along. So this is the thing I'm looking at right now, and I'm just looking to draw in shoulders and necks and heads and see where we're at. So there I go and put in a shoulder there, and now I'm looking for a neck. So there's my neck, and again, these can change as you're going. So I could have had a neck right there, and then, but that wouldn't have worked because it wouldn't have been a head. So I need a head lower than a shoulder. So we have a neck up here. Now the next thing, and if that breaks higher, then the neck would be up here or wherever. So then the next thing I'm looking for is a head. So after this bar, I would have a little circle there as a potential for that to be the head. Right? Then it breaks farther, so then this would be the head. Farther, that's the head. That's the head. That's the head. Nope. And then finally here, in hindsight, of course, we can see it. That's the head. But during real time, that's where I would have the next, that's where I'd have my head, because it has to be lower than the shoulder. So next thing we're looking for is another neck. So that could be potentially a neck, but that was your first neck right here, so you'd have to have a line from here to here. So could you do that? Maybe, but you can't really squeeze in a neck or a trend line from this high to there. So that's kind of difficult. There is a potential right there for one. Right? If you draw the trend line there and then just extend this a little bit, you could do it there, and that would be your neck. And now you need to have a shoulder that's higher than this right here. So this would qualify, this would qualify. Right here ends up being your lowest point, just a few ticks above the head. So that would qualify. So you have a neckline here, and if that breaks the neckline, you would have a trade, and the difference between the head down here, which is 35.77 to 212, so we'll call it 130 points or so. So you'd have a 130 point target if this breaks, and your stop is really small in this particular case, which is right below the head. So great reward to risk in this particular case. So let's see what happens. It did not get below it. So there's your break. So theoretically, you could be buying it there if you like that trend line. It's a little wonky, but not horrible. So you could be buying it right there if you so desired, with a stop again down here. So 30, 40 point stop max, and you're shooting for to come up to 230. So nice reward to risk. Comes back down. These are actually decent. So you like to see it break again. Yesterday's video, this one has a tiny bit of a wick, but you can see it's very solid up bar, much bigger than any of the previous few candles. Again, this is a 1 minute chart. But coming back down and hitting that trend line is helpful, and you'll see more of that here later in a second. But and it hits it again here, and then pops, and then there you go. But you're like, okay, well, who says that is actually the neck, right? So here's your neck. You almost kind of see head and shoulders where the neck is. This, it's more of a horizontal line than a trend line like this. So is this really the biggest or the closest neck that we can get. So that's the question. So you could technically draw another one. So you're potentially in the trade, right? So right here, but you're worried about whether this is actually, am I in a trade that's not really finished being a trade? So is this the new neck? So this was the shoulder. That's not going to change. That was the neck. That's the head. None of that's going to change. But is the new neck right here? And you can draw a much clearer trend line from there to there. And then you're looking for a shoulder, right? So the shoulder would potentially right here. You know, could you put the shoulder for the quote-unquote new trade right there, and then that's now your new trend line. Same kind of thing, gets a really solid big up bar, comes back, hits the trend line as I just mentioned, and again you're still looking for the 130 points. In this particular case, your stop is bigger, so it's more of a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio in that particular case. And you can see some action I did here on this particular account, which I'll get to in just a minute. Or you can say, okay, well, that's still maybe not the right neckline. Maybe this was the actual neckline, and then you can draw a line from there to there, obviously. And the shoulder, was that the correct shoulder here, or was it here? And you can see it came back down to this trend line, hit it a bunch of times. This white bar here is actually nothing to do with that particular day. And then a break of this neckline, as you can see, another really sharp, big green bar. It's equivalent to this one, but again, you know, really nice bar, comes back down, hits that, and then eventually it's off to the races. But so, you know, those head and shoulders and inverse head and shoulders can change as the market changes, and that's why I did minute by minute, as you can see. So it's not a perfect whatever. It's a high win rate, and I'll get to the results here in a second for this particular one. But those are kind of things to look for. So you'll have some false ones where you think it's a trade, but it's actually, that's not the neck. So you want to make sure that you're not trading anticipating, okay, that's that's definitely going to be the shoulder, because it could head back down here, and now this is the new head down here, and this is the new left shoulder, that's the new neck, the new head is there. So you don't want to anticipate and place trades that aren't actually there. So in this particular case, however you slice it, depending on how you do it, and again, you can read more up on other people trading head and shoulders patterns and all their particular rules and all this stuff. I'm just telling you kind of stuff that I'm looking at for the trading challenge. So these blue lines are, or blue arrows are where I've entered, and the white ones are exits. So I don't even know why I entered it here. I might have thought that once it broke this area that it was going to take off, and then I got out on the wick here. Entered again here, it broke out, and then I basically had to stop, break even here. Entered it here again for whatever reason, and then finally here on the breakout is the one I really took. So if you count it from this one up here, right, and then this is the last shoulder right there. So erase, oops, just take this out, take that out, take that out, take that out, and you have shoulder, neck, head, neck, shoulder. There's your break, and again, it's still 130 points or so from this high neck point to this head, about 130 points. It breaks, so this would be the breakout area. So you want 130 points from 35, 140 ish. So that sets you up for 270 or so. And you can see I entered here on a break, exited some of my position here for whatever reason, and then here as well. This was in the trading challenge, so I probably just wanted to bank some profits for whatever reason or whatever. But anyway, so again, the target would be what I say, 270-ish. And then if you continue to scroll, it never breaks the... So in this particular case, right here, the entry would be here, and your stop would be down here. So you had nice reward to risk, maybe 30 points for 130 potential. And that might be one of the reasons I took some of these off here, since I got about 30 points on some of the contracts. So then I was basically playing with house money. So if it came down, I would have stop, break even, and I'd be fine. So, and then I exited right there on the last. So 230, 2 on the last. So if it was based on this first one that we mentioned, where your entry is right around 100, again, you're looking for 130 points, so you're entering roughly around 35,100. That's not where I entered, but again, if you put the circles here and here, as we just had, 130 points, right from the neck to the head. And as you can see, I exited right there. Then eventually it does get up to 270, after 1 o'clock, and confirms all that. So it's a nice risk reward ratio on these. I will be using this in the trading challenge. Those are the 4 main things that I'm looking for. The S&P along for the ride, up trades only, the end of the week Dow, the OPR, 50% retracement, and then the inverse head and shoulders. So mostly all of my trades are going to be long trades for various reasons. And hopefully this is helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. But that's basically what I look for in the trading challenge, and not much else. Have a good one. Take care.